What are the selection criteria to choose an acoustical membrane for floors? As we've seen in previous video clips, acoustical performance is obviously a very important selection criteria when you're choosing an acoustical solution. So one quick note on that, I would suggest obviously that, again, we pay attention to the structure, floor ceiling assembly that you have in your particular building, and then choosing a acoustical solution that will offer you the performance that you're looking for, but also represents the actual situation you have in your building. So we stressed that a little bit earlier, so that would be one of the first things that we would say. Now there's a few more selection criteria that are not to underestimate. As an example, we'll talk about durability over time. We'll talk about easiness of installation. We'll talk about mechanical strength. We'll talk about thermal value or thermal capacity of a given system. Those are very important selection criteria when choosing an acoustical solution. So if you allow me, I'd like to show you 3 typical applications that we'll see out there. And then basically we can talk about the different criteria associated with them. As an example, here we have a ceramic tile installation. So if you're thinking of installing a ceramic tile floor, marble or stone, the one thing that would be very important is to choose the right acoustical membrane for your application. Okay, so in this particular case, mechanical strength is going to be very important, because a ceramic tile floor with a very solid and dense grout, which basically is what you see in between the tile, if you have a product that's either not dense enough, that's too fluffy, too thick, it may create a movement which is going to be in return transferred to your grout. Sometimes that's why you see there will be the cracking as an example. So the anti-fracture aspect of the membrane, or the mechanical strength of it, is extremely important to make sure that it can basically deal with the weight that you're going to put on top of it, and also deal with any kind of movement that's going to happen from, example, the concrete slab. So you want to make sure that your grout is not affected by that. So choosing a technology and a product that is specifically designed for the right application is key. As an example, we can also talk about a floated application. Floated application can be a laminate floor, or it can be an engineered floor. Basically, it's those two products, or those two floor coverings, are designed to be floated on top of an acoustical membrane, which is in return floated on top of whatever structure you have. So the substrate can be a concrete, wood, or steel, as an example. So the product is not glued, it's strictly floated. In this particular case, a couple quick notes. Follow manufacturer's recommendation for warranty purposes. Sometimes there will be different density or thickness recommendation and requirements. So obviously following those is mandatory. And obviously making sure that the product is designed to go in a floated application. You're also going to see or have a choice to go with a double glue down engineered application or installation. What that means is the wood is it is designed to be glued down over top a membrane, which is in return glued down to the substrate. So you got a layer of glue, you got a layer of underlay or acoustical membrane, you got a layer of glue again, and then the wood is on top. Okay, so in this particular case, because wood is a natural element, it will react to its environment. If it's reacting to its environment, that means it's going to create movement. If that movement is not allowed by the acoustical membrane and the overall system, you can end up with delamination problems, you can end up with crumbling or breaking apart problems. So in this particular case, you need something that's going to be able to mechanically withhold that movement. It keeps its shape. So that would be obviously a suggestion we would have. And now we can move basically to durability. Again, when today you're choosing an acoustical solution for your particular building, I'm assuming that you would want that performance to still be there in 5 years. So in previous video clips, we saw that acoustical performance is dictated to some extent by the density of the material you're using. So if you want to reduce an impact noise, you need something that's not going to be as dense. So if we have a product or technology that will dense over time, you understand that performance will be compromised. So what you want is something that's going to keep its form and that's going to keep its somewhat density or memory over time. So if product is going to harden over time, it's going to lose its performance. And not only on the performance as far as the acoustical side of it, but often even on the mechanical side of it. So durability over time is extremely important. One other selection criteria would be the thermal value. Thermal value, basically what that means is, on one side it can be keeping your feet more comfortable. So sometimes your building or yourself will have R value requirements. Obviously, choosing a membrane or an acoustical solution that will fulfill that requirement is important, because comfort, especially in condo boards, comfort for the residents is extremely important, because it's an added value when choosing a solution that you're not only investing money for people underneath of you, but you're investing money for yourself, because then your feet are in return a little bit more comfortable. And also you want them to be compatible with the radiant heat systems. So heated floors of this world. So a hydronic, as an example, which is a heated concrete slab, so hot water going through tubes installed within the concrete slab. So you need something that's going to be compatible to that. Also radiant heat system, which are electrical, will be either a mat or wires. So if you have the right solution for that, it might not only be compatible with it, it may even increase its performance by not losing as much heat through the structure. So again, something to consider. When you move into the environment and health, it's quite obvious that we want something that's going to be healthy for us. We want something that's going to be safe for the environment. So something that's going to be non-toxic, low VOC is obviously a must nowadays. Important to consider. You can even deal with acoustical membrane or a company that's going to do its homework when it comes to LEED compliance. So if you're dealing with a LEED building, obviously using a company, using products going to be LEED compliant is also an added value or a plus. Last and not least, I would say the easiness of installation. Whether you install the product yourself or you have it installed by a professional, easiness of installation is always appreciated. It's always something that's going to go a long ways. So those would be the 4 or 5 points that we would suggest to pay attention to when choosing an acoustical membrane or acoustical solution.